Hello, it is day 0 of Anime Expo. I honestly don't even know what day of the week it is. Right now my calendar brain is just Anime Expo. Is it day 0 or is it day 4? I don't know. Basically the difference from last year is that they have 2 setup days. There is a day -1, which was yesterday, and then day 0, which is today. And then tomorrow is the first day of Anime Expo. I did come in yesterday just to drop off a few things because when I was packing in the car, technically I would have wanted to just go in one day. But when I was packing, I realized not everything fit in one trip. And I thought, you know what, I'll just eat the $25 and I'll just drop everything off. So here we are. It did take a very long time for me to set up. Luckily, I did have friends who were helping me, but it did take about 3 to 4 hours just because there's just so much stuff. It is very warm right now. I don't even remember it being this warm last year, but they didn't really turn on the air conditioner until a couple hours in, so you're basically setting up in a very humid environment. I do have several new things for this coming Anime Expo. I'm in 2 stamp rallies. I did organize both. One of them is with original characters and then the other one is with One Piece. I do have some new promotional items, and I'll also talk about AX's new app process because they did change a few things for a lot of new and returning artists applying for Artist Alley. So again, I'll go into detail more about this later on in the video, so definitely keep watching. Here's a quick tour of my Anime Expo table. So we do have it on a 6-foot by 2-foot table display. Up here we have all of the Ida backpacks and the plushie Ida bags, which are new items. I did want to include the crew necks, so they are up here, but they're folded up. I do have some promo items, so you do get a free fan of your choice from the bear, cat, or bunny with purchase of 40 or more. Free tote bag, 50 or more purchase. I do have the Heart Ida wallets, heart bags, corduroy bags. I do have the B grade and regular grade bags. Classic Ida bags. Again, I do have the Ida backpacks up here. Shaker keychains are up here so you can easily see how they shake and how they work. I do have the plushie keychains up here. I didn't really have space, so I put the lanyards up here, but you can still see them up close because the other option was to have them down here, and I didn't really want to do that since it'll get covered by people, so just put it there since most people are familiar with my lanyards. I do have the foam grips up here. I do have a few new ones like the cat, bear, and bunny. I have several new car magnets, so all of these are my original designs, and then the original car magnet display. All of my stickers are down here since I didn't really have space for them, and I did put my catalog here so you can access it if you are waiting in line and there's a crowd. Very easy to access. I do have the enamel pins up here. I did want to include the mirror just because it felt like a good idea, because the other option was to put it on the side here. Technically, you're not allowed to put any items for display on the side, especially if you're on a corner, just because it does provide a disadvantage apparently for other artists. So I just put the mirror here. I do not have a promo with the free sticker with like post, just because it's too hectic for Anime Expo. I do have the pins again up here. Similar to Anime Riverside, I did have them updated, so it does have some type of identification as well as the prices over here. Yeah, it's a lot. It's very big, and that's my entire Anime Expo table display. It's a hefty one. This is my biggest setup yet. We basically set up our table on a 6 by 2-foot table, which is honestly one of the more smaller table size compared to a lot of other conventions. And this con is one of the more strict ones when it comes to table display height. So the max is 7 feet from the ground and the table is about 2 feet. You only have about 5 feet to display your items. If you have grid cubes that are 12 by 12, you can only max out at 5 grid cubes. They actually do measure display. There are volunteers who are walking around the convention with a measuring pole, and they will actually put it next to your display and measure it. Usually they try to do it throughout setup day, so then if you need to reduce the height, you have the time to do so while it's not the actual con day. But if you do keep your table at an inappropriate height, they will write you up, and obviously that's not a good thing. Very excited about tomorrow, so we will see how it goes. Good morning, it is day 1 of Anime Expo, and I'm already stressed out, and it's not even 7:30 in the morning yet. We had a hard time because apparently South Hall parking, which is the typical parking that's connected or the closest to Kentia Hall, was closed, even though it usually is supposed to open at 5:30 in the morning. So instead we did have to go into West Hall, which is closest to the other side of the convention center. So it was a little bit of a walk since you had to go through the passageway, but it wasn't too bad as long as we got in. As for table location, we are at G62, and it is basically the same spot as we had last year. This time we were able to choose our table spots, which was like first come, first serve. So even though technically I could have chosen a spot towards the front since I was a returning vendor, and we did have table location dibs over new vendors, I did choose a spot because one, I did like it because it was all the way in the back and we did have a little bit more of free space. And two, I did want a corner spot because we do tend to have lines or crowds around our table, and we need that space for people to line up if needed. If we did have an inline table, even though we're towards the front, it is way too congested, and having a spot towards the back, especially when there's over like 600 or so artists, it can be very overwhelming for attendees who are not used to the table layouts, and you can easily get lost. I remember the first year that I did Anime Expo, I didn't even realize that I never went towards the center tables until like the fourth day. So having a spot where I can easily tell people I'm all the way in the back towards the center. If people are trying to look for me, they can just head in that direction and they know where to go. Also, if people did shop for me last year, I can just tell them I'm in the same spot as I was last year, so they're not lost and they can be a little bit familiar with table layout. As mentioned yesterday, I am participating in 2 stamp rallies. One of them is One Piece themed, and then the other one is more geared towards original characters. Typically, I wouldn't do more than one stamp rally, especially for a con as busy as Anime Expo, because it can feel a little bit overwhelming trying to pitch both stamp rallies. But I did want to have a original character themed stamp rally because, as stated before, my goal this year is to lean towards original characters and slowly phase out fan art. But if you're interested in how I organize stamp rallies, I will give a few more details about that later in the video. So it's only 9:57 right now, so technically not even 10 in the morning. And it's been relatively busy, but I think it's also because a lot of people were from social media, so they were anticipating buying some of the Ita bags. I think we had like 17 sales so far. So it's been pretty good. We've actually been going through a lot of the free tote bags, but it hasn't even been an hour, so that's good. It did slow down a little bit, I think because of the anticipation, but I feel like peak hours is in another hour, but we'll see. So it's 12:55. It's been a few hours since the con started, since it started at 9 in the morning. It is insanely warm right now, so if you are vending in the artist alley, you really should have some kind of neck fan or a type of fan with you. It is incredibly humid, and I do think that the air conditioner is turned on. However, on the other hand, our artist alley's been doing super well. I feel like for us, even though I am in the way back, it has been relatively stable and busy. I don't even remember how many tote bags I brought for the $50 promo deal, but we did run out and it hasn't even been 1 p.m. So I did have to go back to the car to bring some in. I wasn't expecting a lot of people to complete the stamp rally so quickly. I was expecting them to basically participate in it and then maybe they'll redeem it tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday. But a lot of people have been pretty much going through it within the first few hours, but I feel like there's been so much going on within a small period of time. But it is much later in the day. It is 2:37. BizCon ends at 6 p.m., but I feel like we've been here forever, and I think it's just because there's so much going on. Even within the first hour, which obviously I appreciate that there were very many consistent sales, it did not feel like an hour, and I think it's because I was just talking throughout the entire time. And right now I am having a little bit of a sore throat that I'm hoping is only because I've just been talking so much and not necessarily because I'm getting sick. I will have to say I am incredibly impressed with the exhibitor layout in Exhibitor Hall here at AX because it is so beautifully well constructed that it honestly felt a lot like when I went to Anime Japan last year, because a lot of the booths were very professional, and I can't even think of like more words to describe it, but it was just very well done. And I think that's also why a lot of friends who are in Kentia Hall, but were technically supposed to be in Exhibitor Hall, were a little bit irritated because there wasn't a lot of space in the main Exhibitor Hall. And I think it's because a lot of the industry booths were taking up all of those spaces because these were huge. Like usually Crunchyroll has one of the bigger booths. Typically there's only a couple that have a lot of bigger industry booths, but this time I feel like a good majority of the center of Exhibitor Hall is just professional and industry related. Very cool though, I will say. But so far it's been pretty good. I feel like we've been selling out of a lot of items. To be fair, I only brought a small handful of each type of heart eat a bag, heart eat a wallet, even sweaters because I wasn't sure how well they'd do, but I will have to go back to the office and restock. And I did expect that anyway for the next few days. We are pretty much wiped out with a lot of the Ita bags actually. Like this entire shelf was filled with heart Ita bags and wallets. I think we also had some corduroy bag nearly gone. Honestly, like even though we have this box, it was full of backpacks and plushie Ita bags. We're pretty much diminished on all of that, so even like the one-piece lanyards gone. There's just so much, and I definitely underpacked, so we are going to have to go back and restock later today. For a little under 20 minutes until this convention ends, I feel like I've lived many lifetimes just in one day. I think it's just because it's the first day. I'm pretty sure within the next couple days it'll go by relatively quickly. Again, it's relatively busy. I'm curious to see if there will be a lot of people on Saturday. Typically Saturday is the most busy. However, I've noticed that a lot of the people that I've spoken to are only coming in today because today is 4th of July. Most people do have work off today. So it makes sense that if you only want to go one day, why would you go on a Saturday where that's taking up one of your free days on the weekend? And if you go on Thursday, day one, you don't have to take PTO and it just works out with your schedule more without having to take time off. So even for tomorrow, for Friday, I'm not sure how busy it'll be, but there has been a good number of 4-day badges. But we will see tomorrow. Good morning. It is day 2 of Anime Expo. It is 8 in the morning. I'm already frustrated even though the con hasn't even started yet. Again, we're supposed to open at 9 a.m. today, and typically we're supposed to be show ready by 8. However, there's a whole situation with the parking lots. So typically South Hall parking is open by 5:30 in the morning, but for some reason they don't want to open South Hall parking until the West Hall parking, which is on the other side of the convention where Entertainment Hall is. They don't want to open that lot up until West Hall is completely full, or at least relatively full. I'm trying to remember what time South Hall parking opened, but I think it was around 7 in the morning. So luckily, because it just opened, we were able to get a spot relatively close at the front and on the first floor, especially since we did have to restock a lot of items. Looking at yesterday's numbers, it was really good. I did want to compare it from last year's AX Day 1, but I don't know where my notebook is. I couldn't compare one-to-one, but I was really happy with it. I think if I had that exact number for the next 3 days, which obviously it's not going to be likely, I would be super happy with it. And I think it would hit about the same as how much I made last year. I guess to put in perspective of how much you can potentially make at a con, or at least in my case, my one day for AX, which yesterday was a Thursday, so it might not be the busiest. It's a little bit more than my really good number for a medium-sized 3-day convention. I think in comparison to last year's Anime Central or Fanime, I would say that 2 Anime Expo days would equal about Fanime or Anime Central for me, just in terms of ratio. I'm curious to see how today will go because it is a work day, even though it's a Friday. 4th of July weekend, or at least 4th of July holiday is over. So I'm wondering if it will be more busy today because it's a Friday, or maybe people won't come in because they all went yesterday, so they don't have to take their PTO. So it's 4:06, so a couple more hours until this con ends. At least in the beginning, it wasn't as busy compared to yesterday. However, I wasn't here because I was roaming around Exhibitor Hall, but the past couple hours, basically when I wasn't here, there was a little bit of a rush. We did run out of some of the Ita bags, so I do have to restock some of those. Just for reference, I only carry about 3 or 4 of each bag, just because there really is not a lot of space behind our table. Technically, we can't even have a lot of stuff behind us. We're only, we're trying to figure everything out, how to fit everything strategically. Even sometimes trying to restock, but it's a whole thing, and that's pretty much why I've been really stressed out the past couple days. Maybe unnecessarily so compared to past anime expos, and it's because we have so many Ita bags and there's such large items that I'm kind of struggling to figure out how to fit everything in addition to all the other items that I have. We did run out of our share or the allotted amount of fans that I had for today. Of the 3 fans, which I have the cat, bunny, and bear, the cat, we're almost out. I did allot a few more for tomorrow, which is Saturday, and then Sunday because a good amount of people will still be there, and I don't want to completely run out prior to those 2 days. And we still have a good amount of bear fans as well as the bunny fans. We are running low on a few of the pins. We did run out of the Ace Luffy filler pin set. I also noticed that with this year's Anime Expo, a lot of the items that don't typically sell as well at other events actually sell really well today or even yesterday. One such example, the Itadori enamel pin, the Luffy egghead pin, which of course like egghead One Piece is pretty popular. However, online and even at Anime Riverside, I believe a lot of people bought the Zoro egghead. Nami egghead, Robin egghead was selling pretty well. I think there's just a lot going on and even just a lot of inventory that I am at a point where I am very much outgrowing this table size. And with all of these restrictions, I am considering potentially going into an exhibitor booth. I don't know how that would work out because I don't want to lose my returning vendor spot within the artist alley at Anime Expo. But I'm a little bit stressed out about that, and especially because Anime Expo exhibitors are not allowed to have fan art for a lot of reasons compared to artist alley where it's typically common for people to have fan art. I don't know how I'm going to deal with all of that. That's probably next year's problem if I even get into Anime Expo next year. Yeah, it's a lot. My head hurts. And then of course the very high levels of CO2 is not helping me either. Also, if you stop by my table within the past couple days, thank you so much for saying hi. Sometimes I feel like I'm very awkward when it comes to people coming up to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the goodies. I'm very excited to go through them. Sometimes it's a really nice reminder that people do watch my videos because sometimes I'm not really sure if people actually appreciate them. And I'm glad that a lot of you are enjoying the videos, whether that's helping you vend in Artist Alley or at least helping you go into the right direction of where to start with Artist Alley, because that is some of the information and advice that there wasn't a lot of that type of information when I started a couple years ago. So thank you, and I hope you've been enjoying Anime Expo. It's now 5:23, so a little over half an hour until con ends. If I'm comparing it to yesterday, it feels like yesterday was a little bit more exhausting. However, today went a lot better performance-wise. I was talking to Gary about this actually, and I think it's because yesterday was a little bit of a trial run in figuring out how we're going to process transactions. And then today we were able to finalize how to do that, and so it wasn't as exhausting. Again, I think I mentioned. What do you need? One difference compared to last year's Anime Expo, at least for Artist Alley, I feel like the aisles in between artists got a lot smaller because I remember last year I was able to walk through Artist Alley behind the artist tables if I needed to run to the restroom because it was always very crowded in between aisles. However, this time I didn't even want to try doing that because it was just so tight that I have to go around and past the adult section really. But I don't know, I feel like it's relatively inconsistent because for some aisles it felt like it's a little bit wider, but for us it's pretty narrow, at least between G and, I don't know what's behind me, F and G. But for the most part, it's been a pretty good day. I did look at the Square report and it was pretty similar to yesterday, but I feel like we've been relatively solid. Obviously, I'm not unhappy with today's numbers. I just wish there was more space behind the table, but I totally understand because it is a concern for safety, and I think at this point, it wouldn't make sense for Anime Expo to increase the table size. Like, let's say they charged more per table to give us 8-foot tables. Obviously, that would affect the number of artists that can vend in Artist Alley. And Anime Expo would technically make more money if they were to sell 6-foot tables rather than 8-foot tables, because it fits more artists with 6-foot tables. And even if we're going to talk about temperature, today feels a little bit more refreshing inside Kentio Hall versus yesterday. I feel like yesterday was definitely a lot more humid versus today. There is a little bit more of a breeze. I'm going to assume that the air conditioner was on both days.
I've seen your YouTube video.
Oh, really? I'm actually vlogging right now. Thank you.
Right now?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, that's funny.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll be here one day.
Oh, yeah. Have a good one.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. But yeah, very, very happy with today. I'm just a little bit stressed out because I do have to go back and grade more bags, but obviously not a bad problem to have. Hello, it is day 3 of Anime Expo. Today is a Saturday, so typically it might be the most busy day out of all 4 days. I kind of like the scheduling where it's Thursday through Sunday because it kind of gives you some practice runs with the first couple days, and then by the time it's going to be potentially the most busy day, you kind of have an understanding of how it's going to go. Pretty stressful yesterday because we did have to grade more Ita bags and bring in more pins because we're just running out of so many items. Because it's embarrassing. We brought a lot of bags today. I don't even know how many we brought. I think there's like 6 of the classic Ita bags, like I think the black and the green. I don't even know if we have pink. I know we have pink somewhere. And I hope we at least last for the next few hours. Again, I did allot some extra fans for today as well as for tomorrow, but because I do want to just get rid of as much inventory as I can, I just allotted most of them for today, and then Sunday is just free-for-all. Just an explanation, this is a tarp. Like, my booth is still covered, I just didn't want to film on the other side because my friends are packing and I don't want to get in their way, also because I'm embarrassed. It's funny because I was looking back on last year's vlog content and I was thinking, why did it feel a little bit more calming? And it's because we had 3 hours to prepare. However, this year, because they are opening Artist Alley an hour earlier at 9 a.m. instead of 10 in the morning, we only have 2 hours to set up, but technically an hour and a half because there's typically a whole ordeal trying to get parking, and usually we don't really fully park until 7:20 or so. And then even then, we just have so many big, bulky items that we do have to take multiple trips to the booth and to the car because we can't have too much stuff behind the table. Somehow, but not really me, my friends managed to organize everything behind the table. I just freak out and vlog. So that's my job for this weekend. It's 10:30 in the morning. So this con started about an hour and a half ago. I would say compared to the past couple hours, it feels like Artist Alley is not as busy. I didn't really get to walk around the past couple days, so today I did go through some of the aisles, shopped a few things, even though I told myself I wouldn't buy that many things in Artist Alley. But I feel like it wasn't as busy today, and I'm assuming it's because it is the weekend. There's a few more bigger name panels, so a lot of the Japanese voice actors do have panels today and tomorrow. So I think it'll pick up a little bit more in a few hours, or at least lunchtime and onwards.
I love your YouTube video.
Oh, thank you. Also, if you're curious about stamp rallies, what are they and how do you organize one? For Anime Expo, I did organize 2 stamp rallies. One of them is One Piece related. The other one is original characters related. Typically, if you're not familiar with stamp rallies, it's not specific to Artist Alley. Basically, the premise is you want the participant to visit every single table and to receive a stamp. It could be things such as fulfilling an activity like tell me your favorite One Piece character, or it could be something like make a purchase of this minimum amount or just give a tip. And then once they complete the entire rally, they can receive a prize. It could be as simple as a few prints, a few stickers, and I feel like now it's been a little bit more elaborate with shaker keychains, sock, tote bag. In our case, we do have this set of keychains. You'll receive all 5 keychains, and each artist did participate, and we each have a design. And then for the One Piece one, we do have a One Piece shaker keychain with all of our designs. I did include Jinbei and Brooke and Usopp since there were only 7 of us, and of course the Straw Hat crew, there's 10 of us. So what I noticed since last year is that stamp rallies have become incredibly popular. It's not a bad thing. Of course, I think it's more fun for the attendees to participate in them, and it's really fun seeing the different themes that a lot of people have. I think for me as an artist, the only concern is that I'm noticing a sort of price inflation, and I think that's more so the case with big conventions such as AX, where people are typically going to spend a lot. Talking about stamp rallies, I have noticed it's pretty common for there to be a lot of bigger prizes, but I'm wondering if that will only be restricted to Anime Expo because of how popular AX is and it is assumed that a lot of people will spend a lot, or will this translate to other events where prizes will be bigger and a lot of attendees might not want to participate in a rally if the prize is just stickers. But it's just something to consider and something that I've noticed, at least for this con in particular. I don't think it'll be the case for a lot of other conventions, but it might be very common for the bigger cons. Also, if you're curious about the timeline of how long it took for me to organize the rally up to when we received everything, I think I started putting this together literally as soon as we found out we got in. So probably like February, March. And then I asked for the designs by April, ordered prizes in April. I received all the prizes late May, and then... Wait, what? I'm trying to think. And then I received all the prizes by late May, early June. So it was a good amount of time because I did ask to receive all the designs from everyone by early April, even though that's like several months prior to Anime Expo. And that's mostly because I wanted to give some cushion in between AX and receiving everything. Just in case there were any issues or if there were a lot of B grades, it would give my manufacturer a lot of time to redo those designs or redo those products. Plus, ideally, I don't want to stress out about it. That's like the last thing I want to think about. But if you want exact timelines and exact dates, I will have it in Patreon on my Biz Buddies tier, where I will have my con review of Anime Expo and just more details about this event and my thoughts on it. It's 4:06, so a little less than 2 hours until con ends. I feel like compared to other days, it's not as congested as yesterday and Thursday. Again, my assumption is that people are just busy at panels, and that's why there's not a lot of people out wandering around. But also, it just weirdly got warmer compared to earlier in the day. And it wasn't just exclusive to Artist Alley. I feel like it got pretty warm even up in exhibitors or in entertainment hall. I did go to the Kinokuniya booth. Very happy about that because I got the Sunny Hipper figures, the ones that look back. Very cute.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been looking for them everywhere and they were at a reasonable price. They were like $15.99. Also, let me get my Artist Alley haul actually. I did get several things and I don't think it's going to be limited to just that. I got several prints. I did tell myself I'm not going to buy anything, but I did because, you know, support small businesses. I'll probably post the haul on Instagram. You can follow me at Mualcaina. Not really much to report. I think I just can't really think that much. I'm just excited to rest. Good morning. It is the last day of Anime Expo. It is 7:43 in the morning. I feel more exhausted today, at least when I woke up. Usually I'm like, oh, I'm very excited. But I think it just, all those days of sleeping very few hours has caught up to me. Hi! Oh my god, hi! Oh my god, I love your stuff! Oh, even you
I was
too!
finishing up watching your latest vlog, interview vlog thing.
Oh really? Oh, I'm actually vlogging right now too. Oh no, it's okay! It's such an honor. I have your pink cardigan. I have so much of your stuff. I have like your bread bag and the pink cardigan.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
Just do a quick walk around
Oh yes, of course. Yeah. It was nice meeting you. Thank you. She's Quinoa Monster.
Huh?
Quinoa Monster.
She just came back to say hi.
Yeah. I was like, I have your cardigans.
Oh my god.
It's June. I know I'm like doing my intro vlog now while I'm not stressed and it's morning, and I feel embarrassed when there's a lot of people. What day is it? Last day. Comparing all of the numbers from Thursday through Saturday and then assuming how today will go, it's kind of crazy because every single day is relatively the same. I did count up cash, Venmo, card. The only difference between them is just a couple $100s. So there isn't really any day that stands out amongst all three. I'm not really sure how today will go because one, it is the last day. Two, it's Sunday, so most people have it off. But we are closing early, so typically con hours are from 9 to 6. However, today, because again, it's the last day, it's from 9 to 3 p.m., which I'm not mad about because it's a lot of hours.
It's God's day.
It's God's day. Also, when I was comparing to last year's numbers, with the way it's projecting, I'm actually going to basically hit about the same as last year. I'm also not mad about because the numbers were kind of crazy for me. And my goal was just to hit those numbers at least. If I did better, that would be amazing, but would be incredibly happy with those particular numbers. I will also say, I wasn't sure if it was just me, but it felt like Anime Expo this year was a lot less busy. Just like see it in the back. No, I like it, it's funny. I feel like AX was definitely a lot less busy this year, at least in comparison to the past couple years, because for yesterday being a Saturday and then it's day 3, it didn't feel like there were a lot of people. Because when I went up to Exhibitor Hall, there was definitely a lot of space to walk around, which again is not a bad thing necessarily, but it wasn't what I was used to in the past. So I'm wondering if AX did cap ticket sales. But then I also thought, okay, for Saturday and Sunday, typically those are when the bigger name panels occur. Like yesterday they had a My Hero panel, and then today they're going to have a Jujutsu Kaisen panel that I'm hoping to go into. So there's a lot of things. And then of course, with the current recession and there's been layoffs, so of course not a lot of people do have a lot of disposable income to spread around Artist Alley. Even with a lot of other artists on the Discord, some of them were saying that it was slower for them this year than previous years. I feel like that was also the case for Fanime, though they also had their own thing going on. So I feel like this year cons have been, I wouldn't say on the decline, but in terms of sales, it's not as strong as past years. If you're interested in vending at Anime Expo, there are 2 different ways. You can get in through Artist Alley or Exhibitor Hall. Typically, the most common and most affordable way is to get in through Artist Alley, and a table for returning vendors is $650 plus service fees and whatnot. It comes with a 6x2 foot table, 2 chairs, a sign, and 2 Artist Alley badges. So the cost did go up, but that's because they did allot that cost into an additional Artist Alley badge. However, for new vendors, it's $750, so it's a $100 difference. I will say it definitely became a little bit more difficult to get into Artist Alley this year. Last year was when they first started their jury system with new artists. And for returning artists, it was first come, first serve for all of us. But this year, we're all juried. So returning artists were juried, new artists were juried. There were some cases where artists who were vending in Artist Alley for a good number of years did get juried out, unfortunately. So there's always that chance that even if you vend this year, you might not get in next year, which is a little bit terrifying, but that's also how the job works. Also this year they did stop allowing shared tables. So in the past, you can split a 6-foot table with another artist. However, this year, it's just 1 artist per table. So of course that increased the amount of competition within new artists because people who previously were sharing tables, now both of them have to apply to get in, and that takes up an additional table space. For Exhibitor Hall, I don't know too much about it because again, I'm mostly in Artist Alley and I don't really vend in Exhibitor Hall. However, I heard it's a bit of a similar case where Exhibitor Hall was juried again and people who were vending in Exhibitor Hall in the past were juried out. I would say if you want that experience, I feel like it's best to watch Single Split's video or like Lindsay's video. I'm pretty sure she's vlogging Anime Expo as well, so you can definitely watch her video. I'll have it linked down below. I know tables are relatively expensive there. I think the lowest cost is maybe $1,000, but I'm not sure. It is a 10 by 10 space. I believe there's a wait list to get in. I don't know that entire process. Because there are a few artists in Artist Alley that I was a little bit surprised that they were in Artist Alley. However, they just couldn't get an exhibitor spot, which is fair. Again, as I mentioned in last year's vlog, I am considering moving into Exhibitor Hall. However, again, 1, it's very difficult to get in, and 2, you are not allowed to have fan art, which 50% of my products is fan art. At that point, if I do want to go into exhibitors, I would have to either phase out those items or just not bring them at all. And I feel like a lot of the people who come to me at Artist Alley are here for my fan art. Like we did sell out of a lot of the Egghead One Piece pins, but again, that is next year's problem. And even just basing it off of last year's AX, I feel like maybe I have a little bit more brand recognition compared to last year that possibly next year I might be somewhat confident to get into Exhibitor Hall or at least do decently well compared to Artist Alley because again, I'm running out of a lot of space. There's only so much you can fit behind a 6x2 table. And even then, you technically can't have a lot of stuff behind your table compared to a lot of other conventions where you can store things behind you. However, with the 10x10, of course, you have a lot more space. You can bring more product and you're not prone to selling out, which kind of sucks because some of the Ita bags that we have, it takes up so much space. We pretty much sell out by 11 a.m., 12 p.m. if they're lucky. And I don't like storing a lot of things in the car because I don't want anyone breaking in. But there's a lot to think about. I feel like it's just something that I'm going to have to consider within the next few months. But we're getting there. It's 10:49, so I would say about 3 hours or so when the con started. Con ends at 3 p.m. today. However, it just feels like there's not a lot of people outside. Even when I was walking around, I'm usually used to it being relatively packed, especially on a weekend. However, it's just there's not a lot of people walking out, which obviously, if you're an attendee, it's potentially a good thing because it was relatively dangerous last year with how crowded and packed it was. So I do think that AX did cap ticket sales because I know they did sell out of most, if not all of the days. So I did get to walk around. I'm kind of sad because I didn't get to go to Itadori's Japanese voice actors panel. It was like a JJK panel with Itadori's Japanese voice actor and a few other producers or high-level people within the JJK anime studio, whatever. I don't know. My brain is not working right now. I didn't get to go in because I did try going in a little bit before 9 a.m. I think it was like the first event for main stage, and that one started at 10 in the morning. And typically, if you get there within like an hour and a half, you're solid. Unfortunately, I totally forgot that this is AX and you do have to be there at least an hour and a half. I got there like an hour and 10 minutes prior and it was already capped. So I did walk around a little bit, bought a few more things. I went back to the Kinokuniya booth. I was like, I might as well. I'm not going to find them. Oh, well, maybe I'll sell them or Sam might want it. So I did get 2 more Sunny Angel hippers. So let's unbox this, shall we? Because I don't know what else I'm going to talk about at AX. There's nothing really different. Oh my gosh, I got the bunny. Oh my god! Let's see the other one. The other one I don't mind as long as I got 1 bunny. Oh, koala! Bro, these are so good. Is this on? Yeah. It is 1:38, so we are almost close to the finish line. I'm very excited to get some rest because I've definitely not had that for the past week, really. There was a bit of a rush, at least once. It was like 11 in the morning or so. I did end up talking to one attendee who went to the Jujutsu Kaisen panel that I wanted to go to, and apparently they started lining up at 7 in the morning. I don't know where, but I guess a lot of people just lined up really early. So obviously by the time I got there right before 9 in the morning, capped. So that's okay. But again, like I said, it did pick up a little bit. I'm not sure if it will equal the past couple days. Like a lot of people are just doing their last minute purchases. I think of the things that we did sell out, it's just stuff that I completely forgot to bring back from the past couple days. Like we did sell out of the Hunter x Hunter pins, some of the Spy Family pins, but that's also because I just did not bring extra yesterday. So I think for the most part, we're pretty good with this convention. I'm kind of worried about Otakon because that's not for another few weeks. I did order more products so that we would have enough for that convention, but we will see because I know that con is pretty good. We did sell out of the fans, so I think by 12 p.m. we basically ran out. For reference, I ordered about 300 fans, so 100 of each design, and I had the cat, bunny, and bear. We have plenty of tote bags, but that's also because I think I ordered like 1,000 in November, and I think I still have like 1 box left, and I feel like that would be enough for me until Otakon and Stack Anime, which is not for a few months. I feel like for me, overall, I'm pretty happy with the results of this weekend. If you came by the booth or if you said hi to me while I was wandering around, thank you so much for watching the videos and following me on social media and really just supporting the channel, whether that's engaging with my content, watching my videos, or even stopping by the booth and buying a few things. Really appreciate it. Every day I am really grateful that I get to do this as a full-time job, and your support really means everything, so thank you so much. Sometimes I'm very awkward, so I appreciate when you guys are patient with me. Again, if you do want to see my full con review and just a little bit of more information about how I do stamp rallies and everything, I will have all of this information on Patreon. I have it linked down below. 1 minute left until this convention is done. AX is officially over as per announcement. Thank you for watching this vlog. If you've stayed till the end, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a very long one. If you want to watch my last vlog of last year's Anime Expo, you can watch it somewhere up here. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I vlogged. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.